Hi, welcome to the Brief Book Reviews channel, otherwise known as An Old Guy Reviews the book that he's read this week. What's the old guy read this week? Well, book I read this week is this one. It's called Ironwood by author Michael Connelly. Published as a hardback here in the UK on the 19th of May 2026 by Orion. I guess Michael Connelly is best known for the Lincoln Lawyer series, Harry Bosch, Renée Ballard books, all of which have gone on TV and been successful. Tells us on the back cover that he's sold over 89 million books worldwide. So an established author, a good author. So what's this one all about? You say, well, it's not a Lincoln Lawyer or Bosch or Ballard book. It's another outing for Detective Sergeant Stilwell on Catalina Island. The first book in this series was called Nightshade, which I reviewed on the channel. And so as I said, it's another outing for Detective Sergeant Stilwell. Known to everyone as Still, sent to Catalina Island as a bit of a punishment initially because he had a beef with the brass on the LASD, Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, who he works for. But he quickly got to know the island and liked the island, got a relationship with the lady who's current interim harbour master. And whilst most of the crime is petty crime because it's a tourist place, so it's like, drunken, disorderly, petty thefts, they do occasionally have more serious stuff. And the book kicks off with certainly more serious stuff. One of his deputies, Quigley, has had a tip from one of his informants that there's going to be some drugs delivered to the island on a runway which is up in the mountains, very, very tucked away. So they mount an operation. Stilwell, his two deputies, Quigley and Ramirez, mount an operation to monitor these drugs being dropped off. Sure enough, plane comes in, lights off, drugs are dropped. But then the operation goes south pretty quickly. As he's technically a witness to the incident that's taken place, I won't go into it too much because I'll spoil the book. He basically gets benched. His captain comes over from the mainland and says, "Look, you're a witness. You can't get involved with this case. You have to stay in the office. Do your paperwork and just keep an eye on things from the office. Don't get involved with this inquiry." So reluctantly he agrees. And the captain has a look around and says, "And P.S., what's all this rubbish here?" He said, "Well, this is lost and found. After 3 months, we anything that's been lost, we give to a local church, and they have a charity jumble sale every couple of weeks." So his captain says, "Well, while you're benched, sort out this mess. There's all sorts of rubbish in here." He says, "All right, fair enough." So away he goes and so while sorting through the lost and found, he comes across a backpack. And I thought, this is a nice looking backpack. And he finds some clues on the backpack as to the owner of the backpack. After a few inquiries, he realises that the owner of this backpack went missing 4 years ago. Yet the backpack was only handed in 2 months ago. So what's going on here? So in the backpack, there's some keys. He traces it to a locksmith. So he's got some evidence that proves that this belonged to the person that disappeared 4 years ago, a lady that was disappeared while hiking. So he contacts the LAPD Open Unsolved Unit on the mainland. And sure enough, their person in charge is Renée Ballard. So for Ballard fans, we do have this is a collaboration between Stilwell and Ballard. So very soon Ballard realises that something's going on here, and Stilwell and Renée basically start to work the case from both sides of the channel, if you will. So Renée's on the mainland, Stilwell's on Catalina Island. And it turns out that this wasn't the only girl to go missing, and they've looked at some other unsolved cases, and there are clues that appear to show a whole series of people young female hikers going missing. So Stilwell and Renée start to work the case, and it becomes apparent that the perpetrator is a little bit full of himself. He thinks he's cleverer than them, and he plays a sort of cat and mouse game with them, and it turns out that the backpack was just a bit of a clue. So we have two stories here. We have stories of the original drug bust that went spectacularly wrong, and we have the problem with the missing girls and the perp that's out there playing a cat and mouse game with Stilwell and Ballard. So really good book. I really enjoyed it. It rose well. You have empathy with the characters. For Ballard fans, obviously there's a bit of Renée Ballard as well as Stilwell. 323 pages, so it's a relatively easy read. I read it in 2 settings, and really enjoyed it. So another great outing for Sergeant Stilwell. I wonder if we'll see him again. I think we might. So that's it for this week's brief book review. 10/10 till we do it again. Thanks for watching. Bye.